help my child has a low self-esteem. Today, we're going to be looking at how to help your child who is struggling with low self-esteem. I shared a story earlier today, and that story was on a particular young lady that I had, and this young lady was battling with, a low self-esteem. And one of the things that she said was, I saw myself lose opportunities. Um, I saw people doing things, people that I'm better than. All right. Every time when I think about it, I'm like, but I can do these things better than these people. But I'm not being able to pursue that side of my life just because of low self-esteem. My name is Wendy Olugi, and I'm the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy. Thank you for joining me today, and we're live on Tuesday Live. We're here every Tuesday bringing you conversations on parenting that can help your journey. Now, children struggle with low self-esteem for different reasons, and it is very often, sometimes it interplays in these factors. But I'm going to be sharing with you some of the common factors that is getting your children to struggle with their self-esteem. All right, if you can see me, you can hear me. Let me see your comment in the comment section telling me that you can see and hear me, and let me see you. Tell me where you're streaming live from, and say hello. All right, say something you can see that I'm wearing. At least that will help me know that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. And we're talking about self esteem. Remember to hit the like button as we're going. And remember to share your favorite emojis in the comment section when you hear that thing that hits you. Yes, somebody said blue, and that's it. All right. And blue, it's the color of the day today. Okay, I can see that you can see it. And that is a very clear, indication that you're here with me. Now, one of the reasons why children battle with low self esteem is critical parenting and caregiving. I'm going to be sharing 10 of these reasons, and I'm going to run really fast so that I can also give you how you can begin to solve this problem. Critical parenting, or caregiving, or what we call um, negative parenting or whatever. So one of the things I have seen is that parents who are overly critical can unintentionally contribute to low self-esteem in their children. Frequent criticisms, unrealistic expectations, it can actually make your children begin to feel that they are never good enough. And many of the times I have seen people, adults that I work with, and I see that they are not able to actually come out of their shell just because they've heard somebody say to them too often that they are not good enough without even saying it. Hi, mom, my mom is here. And one of the things that I have realized over the years is that the strongest voice in your head is the voice of the person who raised you. Many of the times you find yourself in places, and what if every time what you have heard is how you should not fail, how you cannot fail, and how you are not, entitled to failure and all of that, you realize that you're constantly afraid to fail, so you are constantly afraid to try. If you were that child that was told that failure is a no-no, you find out that you don't try because you are afraid to even find yourself in that space. You do not know how to, handle things, handle failure especially. If you were that child who had been told very often, you don't even know how to do anything right, that will be the voice in your head. For every time you want to try as an adult, you tell yourself, I've never really known how to do it right. So the kind of parenting you had would impact your self-esteem. Many times when parents come to me and say my child is struggling with low self-esteem, I usually, do reverse engineering. Many of the times it is because that parent also struggled with low self-esteem, and without even knowing it, they are passing it on to their children. Very many of the times you find out that your parenting is full of criticisms, full of, controls, full of judgments, there's really no connection. There's really no conversations, full of judgments. And if you come from a home where you're constantly criticized, it impacts you negatively two ways. You either become someone who criticizes people all the time, or you become someone who just dies without even want to try. And both extremes are bad for you as an adult because you're never going to see anything good, both in yourself and in others. Anytime I see people who are overly too critical, it just shows me the people, who have been raised by overly critical parents. You criticize everything. Your children do everything. You're criticizing them. You're constantly on the critical, mode. Another thing that causes children to battle with low self-esteem, all right, is negative self-perception. And I dare say that perception is a gift, is a legacy from a parent to a child. Yesterday, we were teaching in the inner circle program, and I was teaching parents about legacies, and I was talking about perception, mindset being a legacy. Many of the times, we do not even realize how much perception and mindset affects you as a parent. Your children actually inherit perception from you, they inherit mindset. So it's a legacy. So when we talk about legacy, people think that legacy is all about, the things you're keeping for your children. Legacy is you. You are legacy. So negative perception can lead to low self-esteem. And children may develop negative belief about themselves. And this is always influenced by how they perceive their abilities, how they perceive their appearance, how they perceive their personality, comparing themselves to others and feeling like they fall short and they can't contribute, to anything. And that contributes to low self-esteem. When you are a parent who is constantly criticizing, who is constantly, what I call vanity count, it's all about vanity count, you will unintentionally build a low self esteem in your child. Vanity count is all about how will people see you? What will people say? And you find out that in your parenting journey, that is one of the things you have imbibed. What's people going to say? How are they going to? So it's all about people. So you make your children perceive their life from the lenses of another person. If you are someone who is constantly concerned about comparison, oh, look at those people, look at what they have, we don't have. I was teaching parents sometime in the academy in the inner circle. If you're not part of the inner circle, this is the time to actually gear up and begin to actually take your parenting seriously and join the inner circle. And I was talking about how parents who think they are how do they say, parents who think they are disadvantaged play the role and transfer it to their children without even knowing that they are actually passing a negative perception to their children. So you say things like, we don't really have that kind of money. Yes, even though they have, but we don't have. So therefore, we cannot have it. You give your children the illusion that life is all about comparing what you have with what another person has. And then you begin to breed a low self-esteem with your child because your child is constantly going to compare their lives with the next life. And see, these are core mindset that we have inherited in this generation from the other generation. And that's why we name generators, I better pass my neighbor. These things are inherent. When you're looking at it, you don't even see where it counts in your own life. It is very quick to say, oh, my child is suffering with low self-esteem. But when you really look at it, are you suffering with low self-esteem? And I spoke about vanity count. Your children are constantly looking at you, and you share things like, oh, I don't even have good clothes to be able to do my birthday. You sell a perception to your children that, oh, because of that, I cannot celebrate. You sell a perception to your children that it is about how, what you wear, what people see. I've not had money since I've been raising you people. I've not had money to buy a single good wig. Perception, mindset. You sell to them that the mindset is that of things. Perception is a big deal when it comes to self-esteem. And your children are going to carry those things. So you are transferring legacies. And that's why I said that legacy is mindset. You're transferring legacies into your children. So the little things, the seeming little things you say every day of your life, it's creating some kind of inadequacy in your child. Your child is thinking, but so it means that if people cannot see me like this, and you discuss things like, I posted a picture of nobody liked it, and it worries you without even knowing that your children are listening. Perception. So your children begin to count, those things are what it is that makes them, not really the real thing that makes them. So your child begins to believe that if I do not have money to buy a wig, then I am no longer, I am no longer that person I should be. If I don't have money to buy a wig, then I'm not measuring up. So I should keep quiet and become lower than the person I should be. If I do not wear that clothes that other person is wearing that is raining, then it means that I am no longer the person that God has created me to be. If I do not see myself wearing Christmas clothes, every time in the inner circle in the academy, one of the things that we've been able to actually squash is Christmas clothes. What's that? You give your children the perception that, oh, I cannot buy Christmas clothes because of, and then they begin to feel that they are lower than the next person. Isn't the seeming little things that we share daily. It might look like, oh, well, a perception that, I give my children, I praise them and all of that and all that. It's beyond that. So it's beyond the affirmations. It is actually about the living. It's beyond the affirmations. It's about the living. Many of the times you don't say it, but they're your thoughts. They're your mindset. And that's why I said that mindset is legacy. Perception is a gift to the next generation. Are you following me? Is it getting hot in here already? This topic is one of my favorite topics because it's something that I know that a lot of parents don't see, even though they think they see it. And that's why I say that education is knowing and seeing the things you think you knew, but you never knew. And that's why I keep saying that there are things you will never learn except you're actually in the academy, in the inner circle. I can tell you for free. Are you following me? Are you here? Are you getting hot yet? Alrighty. So we talked about perception. We talked about your parenting style, the things that affect your child's self-esteem. Another thing that affects your child's self-esteem is traumatic experiences. Now, traumatic experiences or significant life event, like death of a loved one, can actually have profound impact on a child's life esteem. They can blame themselves, feel helpless in the face of adversity. Now, let me take this back to you as the parent, because I say in my book that parenting is about you, connect to correct. If you take it away from you, then you lose the essence of this conversation. I hope I can still be heard. Sorry about that. All right. Thank you. So many of us have developed this thing in our mindset that we just many of us have traumatic experiences that have had a lot of impact on our own self-esteem, and we have simply given our children traumatic experiences as legacy. Your experiences are legacies. So you are either passing your negative and positive experiences, in the way that you're transferring it. And that's why I said the parenting is transference of legacy. So your trauma really can be a negative on you. And the moment you begin to struggle with trauma yourself, you find out that your child also, all right, would struggle with those kind of self-esteem. I'll give you, practical examples. Now, alrighty. So sorry, my network had a bit of shift. Please, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? If you can, let me see your comment in the comment section. Okay, where was I? Yes, I saw that it was freezing and we're back. I was talking about traumatic experiences. So let me give vivid examples. You have had an experience as a child where you were shut down. You constantly heard your parents say to you, you're too loud, shut up, you talk too much, you talk too much. And you constantly heard, shut up, you're too loud. It's not everything you will say, you're talking too much. I don't know that. They shut you down. You now became that person who was really very calm. When people tell me, I'm really a quiet person, I don't really like talking too much and all of that, I don't like expressing myself, there's something wrong somewhere. You don't like expressing yourself, is not being quiet. They're two different things. And when you now have your children, and if you have a boisterous child like you, like me, you're probably going to shut that child out because you're going to be feeling that's not how it is that you need to behave. Why do you want to feel you know everything? What's wrong with you? We even call children ITK, I too know. You're everywhere. You know everything. You shut them down. Not because that is that child, but because of your own traumatic experiences, which have also impacted on your own self-esteem. So you have a problem with people showing themselves in quotes. Yeah, many of us do. You have a problem with people actually being out there, being loud. You can't. Not that you don't know how to, but a critical voice, a parent, the most important person in your life had told you that that was wrong. Now you have transferred it to your children. Your children are now, playing. You have that child who is just out there. For instance, I have a very boisterous son. Very. In fact, our son can talk and talk and talk. And you never hear us say, oh, you're talking too much. You should shut up. You should not talk. Instead, we've actually looked at it and said, oh, this is one of those people who can lead a nation. And boom, we're working on it. One of the reasons why I am this bold is that I wasn't shut down. Yes. So you find out that if you are, it will pinch you. It will pinch you, right? Anytime you see someone who is confident, you're like, what's your own self? Your own is even too much. Go and check it. You're battling a traumatic experience. It's not your child that is a problem. We all have that child that challenges us, right? Challenges our perspective of life. Like you're so quiet, you now have the child that is so everywhere. You're like, can't you see me? Can't you see me? Can't you see me? Don't you see the way I am? The way you are is tinted through a traumatic experience. And you have now passed it on unknowingly and given your child the same trauma. Legacy. Legacy. And if you do not know better, if you do not know how to also build you will just transfer those things. I once heard someone saying that she has a problem, all right, that she has a problem with children making noise. I couldn't understand it. I'm like, but children are going to talk. She said, no. Children are not supposed to talk. They are supposed to be calm. They're supposed to be very quiet. They are not. I'm like, wow. If you have children who don't talk, who can make noise, who can play, there is a problem. There is a problem. Somebody told me, oh, we grew up not playing. We're always indoors. We don't talk. My goodness. Do you know a part of you have been killed, literally, but you don't even know it. And it has affected your self-esteem and can also affect your child. Another thing that can affect the self-esteem of a child is bullying and peer pressure. Negative interactions, bullying, they can significantly affect the child's self-esteem. Being a target of bullying can lead to feeling of worthy or worthlessness, Succumbing to peer pressure can make you feel like they need to compromise their values to fit in. Children who bully also have issues with self-esteem. But let's take it back. The first place children get bullied is in the house. Bullying. That's the first place children get bullied. In the house, right in the house. Many parents are bully parents. I'll tell you how. I'm sure if I say it now, you say, no, I'm not a bully. Oh." You are when you really say it. I'm going to share it in real practical terms. Your child says no to you. I say, Mom, no, I don't want to do this now. And you flip. How dare you tell me that I cannot say, you say no. Who are you? Do you make money? Who the hell do you think you are? And then you hit that child. And then the child learn that saying no is bad. Receiving no is bad. So the children begin to struggle. And it's interesting, right? It's very interesting that when these children now go, they get molested sexually, maybe by an uncle, an adult. You even tell things to your children like when adult is talking, you don't say no, you don't look at them, you don't respond because it's an adult. Then flip side, your child goes to go and get molested. Boom, you start shouting. Why didn't you talk when they were trying to do that to you? No, madam, you told them that answering an adult is bad. You told them that saying no to an adult is bad. Why do you want them to say no? You have bullied them to the point where they have succumbed. So you begin to bully these children, and these children get into their shell. They get to school, they get to their mates. Their mates say something to them, they can't say no to their mates. Yup. They just suck up. So you have made them to just please everybody. Because for you, it's about pleasing you all the time. The lion of the tribe of Judah. Oh shit. You need to be pleased. The one who walks and nobody says a word. The one who is passing and nobody hears a sound. That's who you have become. So when your children are passing, they receive things, instructions, they can't even question it. They don't even understand it. They just follow. So you have raised people who obey because in your mind, obedience is what parenting is. I say it, you move because you are totally infallible. The infallibility narrative in parenting is a false narrative. I've said that countless times. The moment that you look at yourself as infallible as a parent, your parenting system is dead on arrival. So your children go to school. Their mates tell them, oh, this is what we're going to do. They become followers, sheeps. They just boom, and they are going. Because that's the only template they understand. They don't know how to question nothing. They don't know how to see things from different perspectives. They don't know the difference between honor and obedience foolishly. They don't get it because you have beaten them to actually get into that system where you tell yourself that that's what parenting is about. So I dare say, obedience is not the goal in parenting. Many of the times, we have a problem with our definition of factors. That is one of the reasons, that's one of the things that we battle with as parents. You build a child who just moves in life, just like that, refusing to try. Another reason why children struggle with self-esteem. Well, struggle with self-esteem is lack of failure. lack of failure. You have gotten to a place where you have parented your children out of out of failure. You're parenting with perfection in mind. This morning, I said that parenting is not about perfection, it's about perception. You have parented your children to kill the act of being able to fail. Then you even say it and proclaim it in church. My children will never fail. Don't fail at anything. Everything they do, they succeed. And I agree with you, but there's no success without failing. Because it's in the failure and the trying that they begin to build competence. Mistakes are actually a core. I wrote in my book, Raising an Independent, thinking child, right? And I was talking about being able to understand what mistake does to your journey. So your children don't know how to fail. So you have only sold to them that anything that has to do with trying and failing, please don't try it. You have to be perfect. So instead of teaching perception, you have taught perfection. And then your child is constantly thinking, can I? I don't think I can. Because they are afraid to make mistakes. They do not believe in themselves. And now this is what builds competence. See, confidence is built on competence. Competence is built by trying, making mistakes, failing, and getting it right. It is in competence that you produce confidence. But a lot of us have even parented our children to the point you say, it's the other day I shared that a 6-year-old was ironing. He was a parent in the inner circle. Many parents said, God forbid my children. Hey, my child cannot iron at 6. Hey, they will die. You're raising a child who is going to struggle with believing in themselves. So it is not about age, it's about understanding what it is that you need on a journey to help that child. If you saw that video and saw how that 6-year-old was doing his hand and ironing the clothes, you see competence, you see confidence. It takes a lot because you need to teach your child to believe in themselves from their mistakes and from their failure. Failure is a tool in parenting. If you do not know how to use it, you can actually raise your child. Child begins to struggle with self-esteem because if the child doesn't try, they don't know how to become competent. It's in your trial, in your failure, in your everything. That's when you build. That's how you build confidence. All right. So for everything I build, I have learned the place of starting wherever it is that I am. So sometimes I look back and I see the things I've done in the past. I laugh. How do you tell the stories of victory without having to try? Today, in our masterpiece program, the masterpiece women, I was sharing to them about failing. Many of us don't know how to fail, and it's killing our self-esteem. Lack of failure. All right? Yup, you heard me right. Another reason why children battle with self-esteem is media and society. Media and societal influences, unrealistic beauty standards, unattainable ideals, it can negatively impact a child's self-image. Constant exposure to these things, they feel like the children don't measure up. You're constantly on the kind of media that your child had no business being on. And then this leads to a lot of social comparison. You're constantly comparing them with their peers, and all of that. So media and society is a big deal. If you're a parent, you're not parenting, right? You're not parenting with the perception that media is part of your process, then you have missed it. Because media is a determining factor to what it is that your children perceive to be themselves. What are your children watching? That's why when you get into the academy, one of the very first things that we do to you is that you learn how to use media for you, not against you. Many of us in our families, medias are being used against us. So your children are seeing all sorts of things that look like ideal. And the moment they can't measure up, they feel less of themselves. Because according to you, without even knowing, these are the standards. Are you playing standards in your family without even knowing that you're setting standards that will impact on your child negatively? The next one is, I had mentioned, is social comparison. When your children are constantly being exposed to comparison in academics, in sports, in activities, if they perceive themselves as less successful or less capable, it will lead to feeling of inadequacy. Can't you see this person? Can't you see that they know how to? Are you not the same age mates? We do it. Some of us say that it is a lot or it's encouragement, whatever it is that we call it. Encouragement. Yeah, I get it. You want the child to do better, but that doesn't do anything better for the child, really. Because the child begins to compare their lives instead of live their lives. And this is a negative every time for you, for your child. And that's why you are also like that. Social comparison. You're constantly comparing. What does my neighbor have? What is happening to this? My children are going to go to that school because, right? My children are going to go to that school because I feel that this neighbor, their children are passing very well. So it's all about, it's constantly about the next person. And that's why we come out with say things like every child is going from grade 5. So therefore, my children must go from grade 5. That's what is happening. You're very unintentional. You're very unintentional because an unintentional parent follows the crowd. The intentional parent follows a goal. So you want a goal. So you're not perturbed. You're not moved. My children are teenagers. They are a set of twins. They went to school at grade 5. In fact, they were 12. They were turning 12 in just a one. In fact, it was like a thing. And proudly so. Because they understand who they are. In fact, the fact that they had people who were really younger in their class made them feel really very, correct. So you've given your children a perception that is about what the crowd is saying. It's about what every other person is doing. Oh, we just have to. Even when you're disciplined, you tell your children things like, oh, that person that is very useless is because their parents don't beat them. Who told you so? Very, very something that you should not even be find yourself doing. You do shows, you compare things that are not useful. You compare. You're constantly comparing. You're constantly putting yourself under pressure. I say it all the time. People who are overwhelmed and under pressure is because they have low self-esteem. They are constantly comparing themselves. That's why you're overwhelmed. That's why you're under pressure. I was, humorously having a conversation with my husband recently, and I said to him, there was a time I had no business shopping in a particular place because what am I doing there? I have no business being there because I couldn't afford being there, and it wasn't even a problem. It wasn't a problem at all. And I walk into the market and do what I want to do, and I don't even have a problem with it. Because you're constantly comparing, that's why you can look at yourself and say, in the past 2 years, my children have not bought them more Christmas clothes. What's that? What's that? Because there's a comparison. There's a standard. You have built something that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Because you're walking your lenses through the eyes of people. What would people say? Hey, if I travel next Christmas, we're in October, a lot of people are already gathering money. Let me buy Christmas clothes so that my children will not be left out. You are sowing a seed without even knowing it. Our children are going to come out tomorrow. They don't have money to buy clothes. It now looks as if the world has ended. Makawai. Makawai. And this is so important because you will just make your children just follow blindly. They're on social media. They are looking for who. Even you, many parents do it. You are scrolling on social media. You're going, you're going on social media, you now see your friend. Your friend is now wearing one nice clothes. You just screenshot it, bagam. Ah, where's my tailor? Come and sew this thing for me. Why? Pressure everywhere. Because you are also battling with low self-esteem. Another reason why children battle with what number are we on? So that I know I have like a long note here and I'm not going to be able to share everything. So I would just share a few, right? That I can. Another reason children battle with low self-esteem is lack of emotions control from parents. Lack of emotions control. Number 8 now. Great. Lack of emotions control from parents. You know, you come with a lot of the things that you do. You think that's how I am. That's who I am. My children will do. I'll just give them bus. For you, it looks like okay. You look like it's just all right. My emotions can just I can just do whatever it is I want to do with it. And then your child is there. You're constantly shutting the child out. You're constantly telling the child that they are not enough. Because so it's not just about what you say, it's also about how you say it. So your child wants to try something. Remember that I said the most critical voice in the head of your child is the voice of the caregiver. Some of us are still hearing the voice of our parents 30 years later. What voice can you hear? What voice can you hear? We say, I'm very unpredictable. If my children do, I just give it back to them. What nonsense. Unpredictable parent. Oh shit. And then you stay there, your emotions are just everywhere. And, your children are even overwhelmed in it. Because they do not learn how to become responsible, right? They do not learn how to, be responsible with their emotions. Their children can't even be responsible with their own emotions. So your children become timid, can't express themselves. Sometimes people tell me, I just cry when I'm angry. You have a problem. You can't express yourself. You can't manage your emotions. People say, I don't even know what to say when things happen to me. You don't know how. It's not because that's the kind of person I am. It's not true. You just don't know how to manage your emotions. You don't know how to manage your emotions. And it's either you were raised with someone who couldn't, or someone who, just didn't even know what they were doing about their emotions. So every time where you know, where you see yourself you're constantly battling with a lot of emotions, and sometimes you say, I'm not talking because if I talk now they will say I don't know how to talk. Some people will say, oh, if I talk now they will say that I so you begin to battle with not being enough. You begin to battle with not being enough. This is so important. It's important to work on your emotions so that you can watch what comes out of your mouth. You can watch how you say the things you say. I was sharing with the parents in the inner circle, and I said, do you know that your words are legacies? Can you sit down and say, so my father said to me, how do you remember it? A child who a child who cannot manage their emotions will have issues with asserting themselves, because you won't be able to actually pin what it is that you're doing. All right. So, and that is one of the reasons you have issues with being you. And that's why I keep saying that the first thing, the most important thing on your journey as a parent is learning how to manage your emotions. See, if you cannot manage your emotions, you're going to have issues as a parent. with your self-esteem and your child too. So people who can manage their emotions are people who are. So I was saying something about bullies. I said that bullies have problem with self-esteem. Yeah. So it's a cover up. So you as a bully parent, you have a problem with self-esteem. That shout you're shouting, that yelling, that fighting is because you feel that you're not being heard. You feel that you're not enough. So you begin to actually fight your child. So emotions control, emotional intelligence, emotional control is one of the biggest problem, and that's why we run the emotions challenge course every year. In fact, we don't run the emotions challenge course once. It's the only course we run with a challenge and the main course because it's the core part of your being as a parent. You can't control your emotions, you're going to destroy the child you're going to have. So please pay attention to that part of your parenting. Now, all right, I hope you've registered to be part of the emotions control challenge, right? How to manage your emotions. It's the Bible that says that a man who can take a city and a man who can control, a man can control his is better, who can control his emotions is better than a man who can take a city. Your strength is not in how you can take a city. Your strength is not in how you can be that Muslim parent. Your strength is in how you can manage your emotions. And it's not in the glimpse, it's not in the fun things. It's actually in the things that are not so fun, the mistakes that your children are making. All right. And to register for that class, you will see the details in the comment section. I hope the team have been able to share that. All right, so that you can register and join. Today, I think today is the last day to pay the second early bird. The second early bird, which is 7,000 naira instead of 5,000 naira, ends today. So after today, you pay 10,000 naira for that early bird. So take that now and take advantage of that now. You're going to see the details right on the screen, all right, so that you will be able to join us and see that. I think that starts on the night. You want to be part of it on Monday, and you want to actually come and gain something and work on your emotions. All right. Anybody who can manage their emotions, the man who is able to take a city, the person who can manage their emotions is better than the man who is able to take a city. All right. You need to actually, it needs to be part of your life because everything hinges on that in that place. So it's not really about when your child is everything is going well and all of that. It is when things go rough. When your child come, I asked the question in the inner circle one time. I said, if your child gets pregnant today, what will you do? How will you react? A lot of parents shouted, "God forbid, oh, hey, hey, ooh, and all of that." I'm like, do you have the emotional capacity to bear it? Today, all of us are here saying, "Oh, Sarah Jax, oh, we're celebrating her. She's doing this and that." She had a child at 14-year-old. I have an almost 14-year-old. I began to conceptualize it. 14-year-old. But because she had a parent who could, it's not just about knowing what to do. That parent knew what to and how to manage his emotions. That is one of the reasons why you have that person you have today. This is so important. Now, what do you do? All right. Low self-esteem has significant consequences on different areas of our lives. Negative self-image, impaired relationships, stress, anxiety, reduced confidence, fear of failure. Fear of failure is a negative. Fear of failure is a common consequence of low self-esteem. You avoid new coaching approaches, strategies due to fear of not succeeding. You even avoid to try things because you're like, I don't know that I will not even succeed. You even have fear of failing as a parent. Yes, you heard me. You have fear of failing as a parent. You don't even know, you're not even confident about your journey. You're constantly second guessing yourself, asking yourself, are you sure this thing will work? They say we should come and do course. Who knows whether I finish and do this course? What will not happen? This course will still fail. Oh, this one, I will still be. You are afraid. You are afraid. You are afraid of failing. Until you can actually, understand that failure will keep doing that to you until you are able to embrace it. And until you are able to understand that if you do this now and fail, you can continue and try again. I call it daring to dare again. Until you do that, then you're not going to really understand this journey of building your self-esteem. So building your self-esteem is not just about your children. And this is interesting because it also affects your emotional distress, your emotional, well-being, your physical health. Prolonged stress and emotional distress is associated with low self-esteem, and it has negative impact on your physical health. Things like headache, sleep disturbance, gastrointestinal issues. There's also limited goal achievement. You can achieve your goal because you're constantly afraid. How do I try? How do I not try? Where do I start from? And all of the things that you're constantly telling yourself about, what it is that you need to do. Now, how do I build my child's self-esteem? Building a child's self-esteem is essential for their development. And these are some of the effective ways that I'm going to share with you. A few points. These are tips and hacks. Number one, learn how to love and accept your child. I have a book called How to Love Your Child More. I hope I have that on my table. How to Love Your Child More. That's it. Many parents tell me that they love their children. When you really look at it, all right, that's the book. When you really look at it, you will find out that you don't really love your child. You have conditional love. What I call your children need to perform before you love them. So, hey, I really like this child because anytime you tell this child to do anything, the child just jumps and just does it. The moment that your child does not do things the way you say it, your love is diminishing. This child that is not doing well in school, you love the children that are doing well in school better than the one that is not. You need to love and accept the child that you have, not the one you want to have. Not the one you want to have. Many of us are loving to accept the children we want to have. I wish my child is like this. You are loving the child you don't have. You don't have the child. Why not ask yourself, who do I have? All right. And that is one of the things that we teach in the Who Am I Parenting? When you recognize who you're parenting, you begin to love them from the point of who they are, not who you want them to be. It's not going to work. That's your own perception of who they should be. That's not the perception of God on who they should be. You need to learning to love a child is a skill. I say that again. Learning to love a child is a skill. You need to first of all understand to learn how to love you. Many of us do not even love who we have become. There are a lot of parts of you, and that comes from trauma. You don't love you enough. You can't give what you do not have. Your love is conditional. Until you actually love your child, that's when you can help them to build their self-esteem. Number two, you need to promote independence. You need to allow your children to do age-appropriate decisions. In fact, I call it doing dangerous things carefully. In this book, I reiterated that. You need to get your children to do dangerous things carefully. Yup. Your children need to do. That's one of the core ways of building self-esteem. Without it, self-esteem no day. All right? Without it, it's not there. Your children need to learn to build their competence because it's only in competence you build confidence. An incompetent child is a child who lacks self-esteem. An incompetent child is a child who lacks self-esteem because you don't even understand what you can or cannot do. Our children reached a milestone recently that we were, wondering, are you sure? Are you not sure? Is exclusive to the inner circle program. I'm going to share that in the inner circle program. Don't envy us, sorry. But if I share it here, I'm sure you're going to say, So don't worry, I'll leave it there. But when we came back and we're having a review of that, they said to us, I feel so good. Your children being able to actually accomplish things gives them that self. So self-esteem is not in your empty praises. And you are beautiful, you are wonderfully made, you are these are the things. We're talking about self-esteem built on skills and values. So when we do affirmations, we're doing affirmations, empty affirmations. You are wonderfully and beautifully made. You are the God's handmaid. They can't say it. See, you are raising a Gen Z and a Generation Alpha. If they cannot see the tangibility of what you're saying, it doesn't make sense to them. Because the Gen Z wants tangibility. That's why we have more children who are becoming a taste in our time than in our own time. Because they want to see the tangibility of your faith. That thing you're sharing it's not entering their head. They want tangibility. So if you cannot tangibly translate it to what actually makes them them, you're just there proclaiming, I proclaim, and you are going to be the first and not the last. It's not by like that. It's not by like that. It is by showing it. It is by getting them to build it. It is by getting them to believe it because they have done it. It's not just by proclaiming things that are empty words. So your affirmations can be empty. It can be totally empty. So somebody will say, I'm building affirmation. Somebody say, I posted something about affirmation. The person say, I'm building affirmation. My children do all these things you said here. My children do it. I just laughed. Get into the inner circle. Don't kid yourself. There's a lot that you do not know. You can see that message scrolling through. You can join the academy. All right, if you have doubts about the academy, join the emotions challenge now and get yourself rolling. All right, get yourself rolling, and that will be what will help you. So it is important. You can't force these things on your children. You need to show and tell, show and tell, show and tell. It's no longer tell and show. Our parents told, told us, and sometimes we didn't even see, but we were able to believe the Gen Z does not think like you. Do you know that your Gen Z is not interested in possession? They are interested in access. Do you know what that means? I'm going to stop here, right? And you'll be able to figure that out. Another thing that you want to do is that you want to, and that this is where, let me just say something a bit about the last point I just finished about building competence in an affirmation. If you celebrate results, you are about empty affirmations. If you celebrate effort, then you build a child who can grow. You need to begin to look at the effort and the hard work your child is putting into a task, even if the outcome isn't perfect. You need to reinforce the idea of being able to give everything their best per time. This is one of the things that will build their confidence. So even in failure, you can build your child's confidence. You see that? Even in failure, you can build your child's confidence. Yeah. If you understand how it is that it works, there is a way. The people that told you there's no manual in parenting has no manual, they lie to you. There's manual. If you go and read through your Bible, you see that there's a way, there's a template that were used to raise people who were kings. All right. The next thing that you want to do is that you want to work on your communication. Unfortunately, we were not taught how to communicate growing up. Most of us don't know how to communicate. We have messed up relationships, messed up marriages, messed up parenting because our communication is wrong. All right? Our communication is wrong. You're coming back from work. You're screaming from the gate. What have you people kept there? So your children, the only voice they hear is the voice that doesn't communicate. Parents don't know how to communicate. And that's because also at the base of communication is, effective communication is effective emotions control. Emotion control. So it's that emotions control you need to work on to be able to communicate effectively. Your effective communication is rooted in your emotions control. Your ability to know when to say what and how. I was having a conversation with our daughter, and she shared something with me that a lot of parents, if you hear that kind of thing, you're going to flip. I was calm, I was quiet. And she shared it. And when we're done, I just asked questions, shared my own story as well. I didn't even lift a finger. She came back to me with the story that I have shared. And then she said, I learned something when you were sharing your story. That's not how my own went. Can you teach me why that was that? It was a seamless opportunity because I have been able to learn how to manage my emotions, even in the face of chaos. People are jumping up and down. That I know that my emotions, I know that nobody died. Like I say in the inner circle, nobody have died. So what's the problem? And that's what led me to writing the book. Discipline is not an emergency. If you understand it, it gives you a baseline on how you can react, what you can do per time. Your discipline is more effective in calmness, really. It's more effective with wisdom. It's more effective in knowing what to do per time. And very many of the times, I use that and I turn around the whole thing, preserving the relationship I still have with my children. Sometimes my husband and I are just listening. And a lot of the things that, it's happening, a lot of the things that is happening with the children, they're sharing and we're just watching. I remember one of those days when one of the teenage, sons, the son of a friend, was in the house and was sharing what happens in boarding school, how a particular girl was dancing, twerking, and many of the times, the things you hear will get you to flip when you listen to teenagers. Trust me. If you do not have the appropriate, wisdom and the appropriate place to actually be able to give this thing and act accordingly, you lose them. So they stop sharing and you stop having access to the kind of information that you can use to actually teach. And many of the time, the guy just share what it is. Sometimes I'm passing, I'm listening to this, and they share anything where I am because I don't flip. I don't flip. Sometimes I'm passing like, oh my Jesus, what? And then I pass and then I maybe come back downstairs and we just have a conversation. And I think of a story I can tell. And sometimes I tell it and that's it. They ask their questions and the lesson is learned. You don't need to jump on top of the roof to be able to discipline. Trust me, you don't. But it comes with a lot of you being able to actually manage your emotions. If you cannot manage your emotions, your parenting is going to struggle because parenting is an emotional journey. Parenting is an emotional journey. If you do not understand how emotions play a part, it's going to overwhelm you. And effective communication is active listening. For you to really help your children, you need to listen actively. I have seen that discipline that doesn't work is one of the reasons why a lot of children, right, struggle with self-esteem. Please work on your disciplinary strategy. Work on that disciplinary strategy that will make your child come back to you and say, you know what, I goofed. Our daughter did something in school in JSS1 and she came back to, you know what, I think I goofed. I don't know how I'm going to remedy this, but I goofed. And when she came to us, we said, well, it's your shame. It's not our shame. You're going to carry your shame by yourself and solve your problem. I will help you, but I'm not here to carry anybody's shame. She understood it and she said, Mom, you know what? I'm going to actually flip this, turn it all around. That is what, when you understand what failure can be used for, that's what happens, for your child. So we are not parenting in perfection. We're parenting with a perception. So it's about the perception you have about your journey. Really, that changes everything. It's about the emotions control. It's about how you are able to keep your self in check. There are many times where, I remember one of those mornings in primary school, very long time ago, grade four. Our children are very early birds and they do not like to go to school late. And I'm not very, I wasn't a very early bird person. I won't wake up. I'm the last to wake up in the house. And then, the children will wake up, do everything they need to do. So from grade four, my children could wake up, cook, pack their food, do everything. And, once in a while, they'll just say, oh, are you going to drop me or something? And then I volunteered to drop on that day. I had a meeting and I was like, okay, they asked, let's go. And then we got to school when assembly was on. Truth be told, my children beat up like, Mommy, you are the cause. You are the one that made us come to school. My children were in school at 6:30 every day in primary school. And it was like, I was like, look at this one. So somewhere in my head. Am I not the one that took the book? You dare not complain. But because I also understand what it is that I'm doing on my journey, I just simply apologized, dropped, and then went home. Eventually, when that conversation came up, I told my son that the way he actually presented it was a bit like, he didn't appreciate what it is that was on. He said, "Oh no, he didn't mean it that way." I could have shut him down, I could have shouted, I could have done whatever it is that I wanted to do. All right. And I could have just made a mess or created a something where I'm telling my child that I cannot make mistakes and I can fail. Again, the infallibility narrative in parenting is a false narrative. That narrative that says that you're correct all the time is a problem. You cannot be correct all the time. All right. Somebody is asking me if showing the child the example of the boy, it is comparison. You can actually think that you're doing what is right, but you're killing the self-esteem of that child. You're telling that child that they are not competent. You're telling that child that they can't do what their mates are doing. That's already creating a bias. You don't want to do that. That child that have been there was taught what you should do is to take the blame. You, because it's your responsibility to teach your child. So the first thing you want to do is, hey, I've not even taught my children. No, I go back and I now begin to teach my child what they need to do again and again, and then begin to, throttle from there. When I see what a child have done and I think, my child should have hit this milestone, I don't go comparing my children with that child. I ask myself the question, have I really taught this children to be able to hit this milestone? So it's about you. It comes back to you. So please let your discipline work. Let your emotions be right. All right. If you're listening, emotional intelligence, please start it now and never drop it. Because the moment you drop it will try you, it will stretch you. And if you're not working on your emotions that you are constantly struggling. So join us at Master Challenge holds once every year. And you're going to get the replays of the ones I've held in the first year and the second year. You don't want to miss it. Trust me. Because working on emotions, okay. And if you've never attended any of the, our parenting classes, start now. Hey, things that you cannot just get off on the roof and just learn it on your own, just like that. The way knowledge, all right, goes, you need organized knowledge. There's a lot of information out there, but you need knowledge, you need wisdom. Our children are not asking for information again, they are everywhere. What wisdom are you going to give to your child? What wisdom do you have? Many of the times, the conversation in parenting is between to find out that you are either on the wisdom part or you're in the foolish part. And many times, your children do not trust you because you're not looking for wisdom, not information, because information is everywhere. Are you really assessing wisdom where you should assess it? Right, so join us. Today is the last day to start on Monday. It will be one of the best decisions that you have taken. And join the inner circle. The inner circle takes off 1st of December for the next cohort. All right, book your slot now. If you're asking why you should join the inner circle, you can go and look through our videos. How people's lives have been transformed just being in the academy. You want details for the inner circle is scrolling right under this stream. You can join us. Being in the Parenting Academy today, it's no longer a choice. It is now something you need to do. You can also get copies of my books. You can get them on Amazon, or you can get them through the nearest distributor in your city. Just send a chat to that number on our screen and you'll be able to get our books. I am looking forward to the next set of books we're launching this year, 4 of them, and they are coming to you, in fact, with so much light. All right, you have Walking Your Child to Liberty. We have Raising the Independent Thinking Child. I think in the inner circle, we're going to be reading Walking Your Child to Puberty, Raising the Independent Thinking Child. The discipline that works. We have Connect to Correct. We have From Yelling to Calm. We have sex educate your child like a pro volume 1 and volume 2, and we have volume 3 on the way. We have the parenting launch plan. We call this book parenting manual in the academy. We have resolving sibling rivalry. This has solved problems in families, and you want to actually get these books and begin to read them. How to love your child more. You think you really do love your child. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been so amazing having you join me. See you right tomorrow at 8 a.m., where we're going to be sharing my intentional parenting journey in your city on Friday. I will be teaching in a parenting conference on Saturday, and I will be ministering in a church on Sunday. All of the details will be shared on our social media handle. Do you want to be here? Thank you so much for joining me today. And for those of you who have questions, who have things that you have is bothering you on your journey as a parent, you can book a session, a one-on you can help you re-engineer your process and find out what is wrong with your parenting journey and help you share deep-rooted perspective that will change your life forever. The emotions challenge. Don't forget, 7,000 naira today is the last day to pay that amount. By tomorrow, you will be paying 10,000 naira, which is actually much more than still the cost fee of that course. You want to go back to this session to listen to it again and also take your parenting journey. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m. and do have an amazing day.